Welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. I am Rachel.
And I'm Heather.
We bring you the good,
the badass,
and the crime.
This is Like Mother, Like Murder.
And right now is Like Mother, Like Murder's trial updates, where we will be providing daily coverage in the ongoing trial of Donna Adelson for the murder of Dan Markel. We've been covering this case for years now, and so far, 4 people have been found guilty in the plot to murder this father of 2 young boys.
And Donna Adelson, Dan Markel's former mother-in-law, is the latest conspirator to stand trial for this crime. Rachel and I will be continuing to provide coverage every day, and we'll be joined by special guests throughout this special series. We will be bringing you this every day that there is trial coverage, so let's do this. Welcome back to LMLM's trial updates. We are on day 2 of the ongoing trial of Donna Adelson for the murder of Dan Markel. And today we are joined by Kylie from Primetime Crime with a K. And again, by April. And special, you guys can totally hear my dog in the background. She's super excited too, because today was a day. But also Crime to Burn. Special guest today. We might have some other folks jumping in to join us. But today was hell of a day. We had the most insane witnesses on stand today. We had Wendi Adelson, Wendi with an I, and for the first time ever, we had Rob frickin' Adelson, the third brother, on the stand. There was a small, really quick testimony from the cop who was on site when Wendi pulled up to Trescott Drive the day that Dan Markel was shot and then pulled away. But Rob Adelson kind of rounded us out for the day, and we've never heard him testify, if I'm not mistaken. So that was a hell of a day. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to kick it over to Kylie, who got to watch it. And if you guys don't know or haven't listened, Kylie did a full-on summer series on Primetime Crime. This summer, she actually covered the Pike County Massacre, which I'm like halfway through because, Kylie, your coverage is deep on this Pike County Massacre. There's a lot, and it's amazing, deep dive. But last summer, you covered the Dan Markel case. You did it was last summer, right? And you did an amazing job. And so I'm going to kick it to you to kind of open us up. Tell us what you thought about today's trial, any highlights that you want to bring to the forefront, and then we will kind of fill in anything else that we thought was also highlighted for today. What did you think about day 2?
Real quick, I want to add, Kylie, April and Lee, if you guys have anything, am I allowed to say his name on the podcast? If you guys have anything, just go ahead and shout it out there too. I know, I just put a duck noise like they do. Anyways, just ask questions for whatever it is. All right, go ahead, Kylie.
Okay, so I am about halfway through Wendi's testimony, but my impression of all of it is I love that the prosecutor, Georgia Kappelman, is coming with receipts, because Wendi is saying, I don't recall, and then Georgia's like, pull up, Exhibit 3B. There it is. She came with the receipts, and I loved every minute of it.
I have to say, Kylie, I'm living for it because I've been taking notes literally, right? And one of the things I wrote down is like, they keep saying like, let me refresh your memory,
yeah,
because she'll say, oh, I don't recall, and they'll say, let me refresh your memory. So the prosecution is talking to Wendi about her, deceased ex-husband, Dan Markel, who was shot, murdered in the driveway of their what used to be shared home, and the prosecution goes, did you refer to him as an STD? And Wendi responds, I don't remember saying that, and the prosecution literally goes, tab 5.
Yeah, it's
does that refresh your memory?
It was fantastic.
And I'm just like,
there's no denying.
Yes,
right there in black and white.
Yes, I love it. You're right. That is definitely one thing I noticed too. Anything else you've seen so far?
No, I don't know about you guys, but I think Donna's demeanor today, especially when Wendi was up there, was just, I don't even know, like, what's going through her mind. She looks upset.
I just feel like
scared.
she's staring her down.
Yeah,
She's just
like
doing
trying to
this full-on
intimidate her.
stare down. Yes, yes. That's like a control tactic from as away as possible. Like, that just shows, like, her control and her possession over, even in that situation. Like, it's crazy to see that.
Totally agree. It's wild.
Yeah.
I have to say, I totally agree with you guys. And one thing that I don't want to, like, spoiler alert the rest of the testimony for you, but you know, one thing that you can see that the prosecution is trying to lay a major foundation of is that, yes, like, Donna Adelson controlled her children's lives, that she was a major, you know, manipulator, that she had a big hand in everything, that she was, you know, insofar as, like, literally helping draft and respond to divorce proceedings and child custody agreements and things like that. But one thing that I thought was very interesting about it is she basically, Wendi testified that she felt that her mother was disappointed in her for the way that she testified at her brother's trial. She felt that she didn't stand up for her brother as well as she did. Yeah. And I was like, interesting. Second, on the cross examination of Wendi, who's testifying on behalf of the state under a kind of immunity deal, in so much that anything she specifically testifies to cannot be held against her, that doesn't mean she can't ever go on trial herself for any role that she may have played in her ex-husband's murder. But the cross is almost making it seem like Wendi is the maybe one who started all, like, the way that the cross was kind of wrapping up their cross-examination of her, their questioning of her, was making it like, this is all Wendi. This was
she was grilling her. There were times that I was very taken aback of, like, wait, who am I listening to right now? Because you're definitely, I thought you were coming in a very, like, on the same side, or, you know, type thing. And not that that's who she's there for, but, and I understand that, but at the same time, I was like, you're not helping. Like, some of the stuff she was saying, I was like, I feel like you're painting the picture more against her. It was crazy.
Right, and exactly, and it makes, I mean, to a certain extent, like, it makes sense. Like, right, you're there to defend your, you know, your client, right? And this person, and it totally makes sense for a defense attorney on cross to be more aggressive toward a state witness. You know, they're there to defend their client. But it is interesting that they really let Wendi have it, and they're almost painting a picture. And this is part of the thing. They're trying to introduce reasonable doubt here, that it wasn't Donna who's the master conspirator and who's the mastermind. It's Wendi who is the one who made all this up, and Donna is just some innocent bystander, right? So I think that's what they're trying to say. Well, so the other thing that I wanted to bring up, just because they started the day with more administrative stuff, and this is going to happen in any trial, but they basically were going back and forth again about this joint email situation, because Donna and Harvey, they shared this email, and they're going back and forth about this whole idea that, you know, what they keep calling the grandma motion or whatever, where basically, you know, 3-4 months before Dan Markel was murdered was when he filed a motion against Donna Adelson saying that she cannot have, you know, he does not want her to have unsupervised contact with his children because of her disparaging comments towards him that he's heard directly from his sons. And the defense is trying to raise this idea that, hey, you know, we don't know if she even knew about this motion, because, you know, even though Wendi was forwarded emails and stuff like this, maybe only the dad saw it. And so they're trying to lay the prosecution is trying to say, look, most likely, and based on the pattern of responses and based on everything we know, Donna saw it and responded to it at most, and at least definitely knew it existed and saw it at the very least. And the defense is trying to say, no, you can't even admit that into evidence. And they're, going back and forth about this and everything. One thing I did find interesting, and I think we talked about this before, but they really, really did hammer in the prosecution and going through these emails about, Donna building out this whole, what she called a plan of action for Wendi, where you're going to enroll the boys and you're going to get the boys baptized Catholic. They're going to go to Catholic church. They're going to go to Sunday school. You're going to put on the best act of your life. You can't tell anyone this is pretend. You got to pretend it's real. I've seen you be a good actress before, which I don't know what that's even referencing. But she's like, you really got to give it to them. And this is so crazy. And I mean, props to Wendi in this situation. This is maybe one of the only times I'll ever say props to Wendi, but she told her mom, I'm not doing any of this, right? Like, this is no. And they even, the prosecution did even, I guess, again, to Wendy's credit, they have met, although she continuously said, I don't remember saying that. And they had to continuously say, here, tab 45, tab 46, tab 47, where she's like, my mom is, emotional subterfuge, which I remember being a very specific, oh, wow, that's a very specific phrase, that your mom's a controlling person, that, do you feel like your mom is involved in your personal life and involved in your professional life? The whole part about her mom creating, imagine this, you guys, and let's get some audience participation in this. Imagine your mother creating you a dating profile online and then sending you some of the people and saying, what do you think about this guy, and this guy? He seems nice. Oh my gosh!
Wild behavior.
Can you even imagine?
No. And I don't know why I would think that it would make a little bit more sense. You know how, like, if you were a young mother, right, and you had, like, a smaller age gap. I don't know exactly what their age gap, but she's not young. Like, she's not young. She's older. How do you even know how to download these apps and do this kind of stuff? Like, my mom would never.
I know. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
It's so weird. Such weird behavior.
I was just absolutely blown away by the amount of not just involvement. I mean, I've seen parents want to be involved in their children's lives, and that's fine. But the amount of, like, I'm literally going to set up a dating profile for you, and then I'm going to pick some guys. I think the literal word was, quote unquote, pre-screen them for you.
Yeah, it's just so weird.
It's absolutely crazy.
Hi, I'm Darren Marler, host of the Weird Darkness podcast. I want to talk about the most important tool in my podcast belt. Spreaker is the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to record, host, and distribute your show everywhere, from Apple Podcasts to Spotify. But the real game changer for me was Spreaker's monetization. Spreaker offers dynamic ad insertion. That means you can automatically insert ads into your episodes. No editing required. And with Spreaker's programmatic ads, they'll bring the ads to you, and you get paid for every download. This turned my podcasting hobby into a full-time career. Spreaker also has a premium subscription model where your most dedicated listeners can pay for bonus content or early access, adding another revenue stream to what you're already doing. And the best part, Spreaker grows with you. Whether you're just starting out or running a full-blown podcast network, Spreaker's powerful tools scale effortlessly as your show grows. So if you're ready to podcast like a pro and get paid while doing it, check out Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker.com.
And then the fact that she picked Dan, like she liked Dan, and then everything that has transpired, allegedly has transpired.
Yeah.
I just can't.
I know. It's just, again, that amount of control. It's like the way that I see her in her brain, allegedly, is I brought you into Wendi's life and I can take you out. Like, that's how I hear her, like, talking, like, in her life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah. The other thing I thought was interesting, especially because the last witness, the way they kind of wrapped up the day was they did talk to Wendi, and they said, okay, so the day of Dan Markel's murder, what did you do? You had the TV repair guy come by in the morning, and then they said, okay, and then you did drive by Trescott, you did see the police tape, and then you did see the police tape literally on the street where your ex-husband lives, where your children had stayed the night before. And like, maybe she, she had exchanged text message with Dan earlier that day, so maybe she could confirm that, like, okay, the boys were definitely at daycare, so she didn't have any reason to be worried that the boys were maybe in danger. But like, I'm sorry, if you saw, like, why wouldn't your first thing to be like, send a quick text to Dan and be like, hey, there's police tape on your street, dude, like, what's going on? Just confirming the boys got dropped off at daycare, everything cool? Like, but no, none of that at all. And, but basically they had the police officer who was on duty when they blocked off the street. He was standing, basically on guard where the tape was. And he said he found it, he remembers it in his head because she was driving the same vehicle that was his family vehicle, right? And he said he remembered, it just stood out that the way she pulled up and then 3-point turn, didn't say anything, didn't ask any questions, pulled up, 3-point turn, boop, booked it back out. And so just was very suspect behavior.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure.
Yeah. The other thing that I wrote down from her testimony, which I'm sure I've heard before, but I think I must have forgotten, was that one of the things she had said after, because when she was originally first questioned the day of Dan Markel's murder, she had called her mom and said, Mom, sit down. I have something to tell you. Dan's been shot. And one thing that she is on record saying is, well, my parents sounded really surprised, so that's at least a relief.
Yes.
What?
She said that. Oh my gosh. She said that during the interview, like your initial police interview. Oh, I'm so relieved that they sounded surprised. What?
I mean, and I was talking to my husband about this. I'm like, that's a crazy thing to say. And he's like, but doesn't that play like, well, like they were surprised? And I was like, no, it doesn't. What it tells me, if I was a juror, is that Wendi had it in her head at some point, whether it was a joke or not, whatever you want to say, is that Wendi had it in her head at some point that her parents were capable of doing this.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they are now, quote unquote, surprised is that they actually did have it in there, like that it was, like they did have the capability of doing something like this.
Yeah, but on cross, they went right back trying to, like, say, like, oh, afterwards, wasn't it true that in her voice, you could hear her sound concerned? And it's like, yeah, but she didn't say that off the bat,
Yeah.
She said exactly what was on her mind and what she was thinking at that moment.
Yeah. I personally, and again, I don't know, I said this last week, I don't know if this is just me being obviously very partial in this case, knowing what I know. I don't think the defense is mounting very good cross here. And I
agree. Not so far.
I hope that they're going to, I don't hope that they'll do a better job, but I feel that they need to do a better job if they're going to be able to, because we know that right now a lot of this is just foundational. We know that, there's definitely more to come, especially when it comes to, they're definitely going to get to interviews with the undercover agents who were doing the sting operation, who were doing the bump, and that's going to be where I think a lot of the really, the big evidence is going to be specifically against Donna's involvement. So they're really going to have to do well on cross when it comes to that. But I feel that they're not doing a great job on cross.
But, like, one of the things that they talk about over and over, or for a while, I should say, is the fact that when they went to, I forget what the actual hearing was called, but the custody one or the emergency motion for her to try to move, that whole situation.
The relocation thing?
Yes. So they talk about the fact that it was Wendy's doing for it to have came to that decision, and that she never gave that information to her mom. And I wish I knew the exact words, but what happened was she ended up like calling it. And it was never even the judge's decision. It was like Wendy's doing that it never went through. And so when she came out of that hearing about the boys and stuff, and she told her mom, like, no, we can't do it, her mom thought it was just because the judge said it, when in actuality it was Wendi who kind of like brought it to a close. And am I making sense? Do you know what I'm talking about right now?
No, I don't.
I'm like, I wish I knew the exact. I was just trying to find it because there was like a name that they kept saying.
So the thing that they said, right? The whole thing was Wendi wanted relocation. She wanted to be, and she raised all these reasons, and the judge basically said, "No, with prejudice. You cannot bring up relocation again, Wendi. No." And so,
but there was something happened in that court, and it came, they went back and forth about it today, where it ultimately ended up being her decision to kind of like, not cancel, but I'm going to have to look into it. We're going to talk about this more.
You're going to have to look into it.
Yeah,
now
I'm sorry.
Maybe I missed something.
No, now I'm super irritated that I can't think of what it was called, but, the whole reason it came up was because the defense one was saying like, well, isn't it true that you lied to your mom? You lied to her. And if you would have just told her the truth that this is what you wanted to do, wouldn't she have felt differently? Because if she knew it was what you wanted to do, why would she why would she do this? Why would she supposedly go out of her way if she knew it was what you wanted to do?
I do remember that line of questioning.
Yeah.
But I thought it was because basically Wendi had told on direct, she had said, I'm done pursuing it because the judge made the decision. Relocation was off the table with prejudice. So I was done pursuing any type of relocation. And that's what she had said on direct. So I thought that was what they were referring to, but look into it because maybe I missed
there was
something.
A certain word that I just cannot remember that I was like, dang it.
They throw around a lot of like big legalese that sometimes I'm like, wait, what?
And with Wendi being an attorney, right? Like they even said, you knew what you were doing. You knew that it was, going this way in this direction. So for you to go tell your mom, hey, this is what happened, you clearly lied about it. So that's what I found was crazy.
They're really pitting mother against daughter. And I did think it was interesting, right, that when they asked Wendi, when's the last time you talked to your mom? Basically right after Charlie's trial. She hasn't talked to her mom.
I think she said end of 2023.
Right. Yeah.
November 2023, I think.
Which would have been right around the time that Donna was arrested, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Crazy.
So
That's
crazy.
why, she was sitting there staring at her, trying to make eye contact, and Wendi would not. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know who Wendi looking at, but Donna's staring her down.
And when they said, like, can you identify your mother in the courtroom? She was like, I'm the one. I'm like, she couldn't even, like, do it. That was, like, a tense moment.
It was awkward.
Yeah.
So awkward.
There was one other, so the only other thing, because I knew we were talking about it in the group chat a little bit, I posted a picture of the fact that they have the photo with Catherine Magbanawa, who is already arrested and charged.
Yeah.
And so it's like three of them at the beach, and they talk about, okay, well, you clearly had a relationship or knew this person more than just, hey, she was, hired. And they talk about the fact that, okay, but Charlie got around. So it's like very clear that maybe Katie wasn't his only girlfriend and that he had numerous girlfriends.
It was
and
funny.
So how do you keep up?
The prosecution was like, so you knew Katie? And she's like, yes. And then you knew, like...
Yeah, like it's just named Jill.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you
it
knew
made me
Jane.
think of the Petey Pablo song.
Yes. And it was like, yikes. But I did find it interesting that they said that they were asking Wendi, that does make me think, like, you had WhatsApp. Did you ever talk to Katie McBanois via WhatsApp? And she's like, no. And the thing is, WhatsApp's supposed to be, encrypted into encryption. So, I don't know if they're keeping something up their sleeve for when then maybe one day, allegedly, who knows ever if they're going to do it, charge Wendi Adelson. But that would be interesting if they ever did have WhatsApp messages between Katie or Wendi and anybody, right, about this. So that'd be interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
All
Anything else we want to talk about Wendi before we get to Man of the Hour, Rob?
I know. That was pretty much it for me. I feel like it was hard for me at a moment, our feed, I know Kylie, April, you guys, our feed specifically is mom related stuff. And so this was actually, there was moments that were so hard for me to watch in my heart, because it's like, what has she done to this family? And then when Rob went on there, that's why I'm like, can we avoid this conversation? Because I might cry. Just seeing his face made me so sad. But it's
so sad. I can't even imagine.
Hi, I'm Darren Marler, host of the Weird Darkness podcast. I want to talk about the most important tool in my podcast belt. Spreaker is the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to record, host, and distribute your show everywhere, from Apple Podcasts to Spotify. But the real game changer for me was Spreaker's monetization. Spreaker offers dynamic ad insertion. That means you can automatically insert ads into your episodes. No editing required. And with Spreaker's programmatic ads, they'll bring the ads to you, and you get paid for every download. This turned my podcasting hobby into a full-time career. Spreaker also has a premium subscription model where your most dedicated listeners can pay for bonus content or early access, adding another revenue stream to what you're already doing. And the best part, Spreaker grows with you. Whether you're just starting out or running a full-blown podcast network, Spreaker's powerful tools scale effortlessly as your show grows. So if you're ready to podcast like a pro and get paid while doing it, check out Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker.com.
I have two things.
Go ahead, April.
First of all, going all the way back to when we were talking about the email, and you mentioned like maybe only her dad saw the email and not her mom. Could you imagine getting an email that was that impactful in your life at that moment and not telling your spouse?
Absolutely not.
And the second thing is, so from what I'm hearing from you guys, do you think that Wendi will be charged in the future, or do you think that she really was surprised that her mom and even put this together?
That is such a good question, because literally Zach asked me that question today, and this is my feeling, allegedly Heather's opinion, 100% alleged Heather's opinion. I think Wendi had an idea, knew that her family potentially was planning something and had something in the works. I don't know. It's 50-50 whether she knew exact details. I think she purposefully chose not to know exact details, like plausible deniability, 100% did not want to know details, because A, they've established that like Wendi wouldn't be able to handle it, and B, I think she was like, I need to stay far away from this. But I think she knew. She chose not to know a lot. Whether or not there's enough evidence that they could actually charge her.
Kylie, I need to hear what Kylie.
I'm with you. I think she knew, my opinion, allegedly. I don't know. I don't know if she knew details, but I also have a really hard time knowing that Dan had the kids that day, and there is a chance that one of them could have been sick or something and could have been in the car. And I don't know if she would have knowingly put her kids in a situation like that, but I don't know.
I agree.
I agree with you, think Kylie. About that part often too. Going into this, like before listening to this trial or like hearing a lot from the Charlie trial and stuff like that, so when Heather first told me this, there was part of me that was very, Wendi knew nothing. Wendi wasn't a part of it. They totally plotted this to try to help their daughter, and they're dumb ass idiots. And I don't want to say I was on her side, but I did think that she was naive to all of it, or did not know that it happened. As we get into some of the things that came out of Rob's mouth and other things that I've heard, it makes me kind of go the opposite direction and say she definitely knew, allegedly definitely knew certain things that were happening, because, I mean, one of the things that comes up with Rob is when she's texting him and sending stuff, so we'll get into that.
About
but
Jeff,
I switched. I completely switched over, where I'm like, I felt like she was possibly not a part of it, and now, from what I'm hearing, there's not a possibility anymore for me.
Yep.
So
that's what we'll talk about next, and maybe April, after you hear this, we can hear your opinion on
I want to know.
Or not you think Wendi knows. So they talk to Rob. Now, Rob is the eldest of the three. So it goes Rob, Charlie, and then Wendy's the baby. They're asking him some basic, okay, so, Donna's controlling. Yes. Donna's rigid. Yes. Who is she most involved with? And he's like, she's always been involved in Charlie's life. He always needed the most attention. And then when Wendi started, dealing with a lot of the stuff with Danny, she was very involved in that.
But how long has he been estranged from his family?
See,
I think that's important to add as well, is that he has been separated from his family. He
for
has,
a while.
Yeah, and so I mean, it's not like that to me is very different too. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's what's hard is like he does not have. So when you consider it, like all the Adelsons, specifically Charlie and Wendi will say like we are a close family. Well, we're a close family. Like they spent considerable amount of time together and we're in pretty constant contact. That was not the case with Rob. It didn't mean that they didn't speak or talk, because Rob will, as you'll see through the testimony, like he was privy to some of the goings on especially when it came to Wendy's divorce and when things start to go down with Dan. But he wasn't, did not know the daily ins and outs, because he was, like Rachel said, estranged. And he had kind of distanced himself, I think, from the controllingness of his mother. Probably a good call in the long run, right? So he testified to that. He testified to kind of the dynamic of the family. And then the big kind of kahuna is that, so he testified to, and that there was a specific text conversation between him and his sister. And he remembers it being unique and weird and stuck out to him specifically, because the first thing that was weird to him was that she texted him and let him know, basically, that she was going on a trip with a boyfriend. And he thought it was weird because, A, she didn't tell him when she was dating people. They didn't really have that kind of relationship. So he thought that was weird, A. B, he thought it was weird that he knew about this boyfriend and supposedly her parents didn't. She specifically told Rob, the parents don't know, please don't tell them. And he's like, bet, I won't tell mom and dad. Cool. And he thought that is strange to me, that A, Wendy's telling me about her love life, and B, that I know before my parents do, especially considering how close she was with their parents and how not close he was with the whole family. And then when Dan's death happens, and when Dan when Dan was murdered, Rob testifies that he felt the need to tell police about this boyfriend that Wendi had mentioned, because he's like, look, I know she had this boyfriend that may have been a secret boyfriend that maybe people don't know about, that my parents maybe didn't even know about. I feel that I need to tell somebody because I need to clear my conscience here. Like, I need people to know. So he tells police about Jeff. This is really setting a foundation to what we will probably come to see come out in further testimony, but I'm just making a prediction here. I mean, at some point, I'm guessing Jeff will come and testify, because he did testify in Charlie's and Katie's, I believe. Definitely in Charlie's and I think in Katie's, that he felt the Markels were setting him up to be a fall guy. He felt that, which definitely points to Wendi having way more of a, like being way more involved in this than, maybe not knowing details and maybe just, being plausible deniability. But the fact that Wendi tells her brother that she doesn't normally talk to, hey, I have this secret boyfriend, and they also, during Wendi's testimony, they ask Wendi, did you ever tell your boyfriend Jeff that your brother had looked into hitmen for Dan? And she denied it. Of course, she's always denied it. But it's a he said, she said conversation because Jeff says, no, it frickin' happened. And so it's always going to be a he said, she said. They're never going to be able to, confirm one way or another. That's always going to be a he said, she said. But Jeff, and I'm sure the prosecution is probably, my guess is they're gonna also kind of paint this theory that the Markels were going to use Jeff as a fall guy instead of this being a random hitman. They were gonna try to use Jeff as a scapegoat for this entire thing. The other thing that I found really interesting that I don't think I'd ever heard before, or if I had, it's been a long time and I don't remember. After Dan Markel was murdered, the FBI came to Rob and questioned him. He's obviously connected to the family, and he spoke to law enforcement. What the fuck does he have? Excuse my language. What the hell does he have to hide? His ex-brother-in-law was brutally murdered. He's willing to help however he can. This is Dan Markel. Like, this was my, brother-in-law for several years. And they have no idea. They have no leads. Heck yeah, I'm going to talk to law enforcement. He had spoken to law enforcement. His mother called him and said, don't talk to the cops. And he said, well, Mom, I already did. And her reply was, well, you don't know anything anyway. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, that was absolutely crazy. And my whole jaw was on the floor. And it goes even further than that, because then he has more, like, another conversation on the phone with her. And then that's the final conversation. They're done.
They don't speak anymore.
You tell about that one. It's when he finally sees that there's an arrest and he calls his mom again.
So
Rob
says
he doesn't call her. He waits 2 days until it's his anniversary and then she calls. But
so
that's right.
Yeah. So he said that this is huge news. It's national news, and it's obviously important to their family. I mean, the father of his nephews and his mother's grandsons has been murdered, and there's no suspects for years. And he's like, it's crazy because whenever I would bring it up and say, Mom, who the heck do you think did this? Like, what's going on? He said the subject would be, his words was rerouted, and that it was just never brought up in conversation. And he just felt that was out of character for his mother, let alone people, like, if a member of your family was murdered and there was no suspects, like, that's a conversation. Like, that's like, oh my God, like, what the hell what's going on? And he definitely felt that it was out of character for his mother. And so he said what happened was an arrest was finally made, right? And he was expecting, and he found out about it because this is national news. His coworkers were even talking about it. He's expecting to hear about it from his family. Nobody says nada, nothing, zilch. 2 days later, he gets a call from his mother because it happens to be his anniversary. They're talking happy anniversary, na. And finally, he broaches the subject, Mom, there's been an arrest made. And then she's like, nah, has nothing to do with me.
No words.
I'm just I'm in shock.
I can't even imagine that.
Are you joking me?
Just
and I'm correct, right? That was
insane.
Their last conversation.
Yeah, I think that was their last
after
communication.
That, and I mean, they don't go into the fact, my next question would have been, did you try calling her again? Did she try reaching out to you again? We didn't hear any of that. But it was left at that. That was their final conversation, which to me is telling. To me, that is even more telling than anything else. It's like, oh, someone's looking into this in your own family and you want nothing to... Okay. Weird.
Yep. And I think at that point, it's very telling that, like, he knows now. And then I think she also knows that he knows. And it's done. Yeah. So that's how. So April, what do you think about Wendi? Based on what you've heard, what do you think about Wendi?
Hi, I'm Darren Marler, host of the Weird Darkness podcast. I want to talk about the most important tool in my podcast belt. Spreaker is the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to record, host, and distribute your show everywhere, from Apple Podcasts to Spotify. But the real game changer for me was Spreaker's monetization. Spreaker offers dynamic ad insertion. That means you can automatically insert ads into your episodes. No editing required. And with Spreaker's programmatic ads, they'll bring the ads to you, and you get paid for every download. This turned my podcasting hobby into a full-time career. Spreaker also has a premium subscription model where your most dedicated listeners can pay for bonus content or early access, adding another revenue stream to what you're already doing. And the best part, Spreaker grows with you. Whether you're just starting out or running a full-blown podcast network, Spreaker's powerful tools scale effortlessly as your show grows. So if you're ready to podcast like a pro and get paid while doing it, check out Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker.com.
So it sounds like that, I think I agree with what you said, that she knew her family was capable of it. Maybe there had been talk of it in front of her, and she was probably like, you guys can't talk about this in front of me, allegedly. And maybe she just didn't take as proactive as a role as she maybe should have in stopping anything bad from happening. But, I'm not very familiar with the case. Basically, everything about the case I know from, like, one news article I scanned and then this conversation and the one we had on Friday. Right. So it's interesting to learn about it sort of in real time as the trial's going.
I love that we get to introduce you to this, April. It's like, it's exactly how I like living out my would-be newscaster dreams. This is amazing for me.
This is important. This was the most memorable moment.
You were asked questions about, your mom never suggested any harm to Dan Markel to you, but she did want to bribe him, yes?
Yes.
Take control from him, weren't those her words?
Yes.
Aggravate him.
Yes.
Scare him.
I don't remember scare him, but I believe that was part of it.
Give him some grief.
Yes.
Take something from him.
Yes.
Show that fucker what would make him absolutely miserable.
Yes.
But definitely not kill him, right?
I don't know what the question is.
Donna was caring and devoted to your boys. You were asked about that. That's true, right?
For real, though. That, I'm telling you, prosecution, A+++++++.
Yeah, that mic drop on that one.
For real. For absolute real.
Yep.
Whew. I'm telling you, this was a day. Wendi, she was on that stand for a while. I mean, and she's probably, I can't imagine this is going to be the last time Wendi Adelson's on trial.
I was going to say, so now that
allegedly,
they didn't release her, right? Like, she can still be called back. She could potentially
be called back for something else. Most likely, she's done for her big chunk, but she might be called back for something. Okay. But most likely, she's done for the big part of her testimony. But yeah,
maybe you guys know the answer to this, but are we going to hear from Charlie?
I think so.
He's on the witness list.
He's there.
Okay.
Yeah, they pulled him from where, he's serving his prison sentence. So he's in state, ready. It's just a matter of, but we'll see if he actually provides anything of substance because of what what he's actually going to say. Because he's still, he's probably still going to be fighting an appeal. Yeah. So, we'll have to see what he actually is going to testify to.
All right. Yeah, I'm eager for tomorrow. Today was a lot. I want to say I had it on the big screen. I was watching it as I was cleaning. I was working on my computer, and then at one point I was supposed to be cleaning even more, and I just stood because my phone had died. So I just stood attached to the wall for like 2 hours, just like at this like cornered section where I could barely see the TV.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I should get more comfortable, but I never did. I just stood there.
I'm telling you, I was on my iPad for the day, just like walking around. Like I'd be like working and like the iPad and like working and the iPad and like walking around and it was today with the Wendi and Rob. I was like ready for the drama. So we will see what unfolds tomorrow. Please join us again tomorrow if you can for day 3 of the Donna Adelson on trial for Dan Markel, like Mother Like Murder coverage. We will be bringing this every day that there's trial, so continue to join us. We are just ready to continue to bring daily updates to you all. Thank you again. We're going to give another chance for our wonderful special guests to just shout out very quickly who they are, what they represent, because this is just so much better with our special guests. So Kylie,
definitely.
Why don't you share with our listeners where they can find you?
So my podcast is Primetime Crime. That's crime with a K. And everyone asked me why I did crime with a K. I did it for Kylie, and I wanted to be different. I wanted to stand out. And I mostly cover unsolved cold cases. You can find my podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And on Instagram, I am at Primetime Crime Pod.
Yeah, she is. All right, April, take it away.
So I'm April. I'm the host of Crime to Burn. We focus on crimes involving arson and criminal fires because I'm a fire expert. And you can find me. We're at Crime to Burn everywhere, all the social medias. And of course, you can get us wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube.
Awesome.
I think it's exciting. I love having Kylie here. I know Kylie has been equally invested in this case, just right alongside Heather and many others. The majority of what I've learned has been from both of you guys, to be honest. And then it's fun for me, April. I hope you're here the majority of our trial date discussions, because I want to see and rack your brain towards the end of all these conversations.
I'm excited,
from someone who hasn't, dove themselves into it. So
for sure, it will be very interesting. I know we're always just gonna end it with like, April, now what do you think having like that? Because I am super biased, obviously. Like I'm super partial, so it is good to have like a perspective from someone who's just like, I don't know too much, so let's see. I like that. I like the variety we have in our commentators. I love it. Well, join us here again tomorrow for day 3, everybody. Thank you so much, and we will check you tomorrow. Is everybody ready? 3, 2, 1.
Kayla,
Kayla, you